Everyone, what's up? It's me again, Junkmaster 3. And first of all, I would just like to say sorry because I know I promised you a bunch of like horror reviews this month, but I've been quite busy with other stuff and tired and yeah, all of those things. I mean, that's just personal things, but today we are going to talk about the movies that I watched during the Horrorthon of this month or this year. So basically, all of these are horror films, and I don't know, but I I will also make a top 5 of the month, even though I've made this video as well, because I'm not gonna talk that much about each and single, like every title on this list, because during this Horrorthon I watched 39 movies, which was like about 8 more than I did last year, so uh, and most of these I've never seen before. Some of that I have seen before I'm not going to mention because I already talked about some of those quite a whole lot of times before. Yeah, let's begin with the movies that I watched. First of all, I watched Larva from 2005 by Abram Cox, and was apparently a made-for-TV movie. Really surprised me because it had a sort of like a low rating on IMDb. I didn't think it was that bad or not that good either, but still a really entertaining film for what it was. So I gave it a 6 out of 10. Then I watched, oh my god, Wood Chipper Massacre from 1988, shot on video, Shidio. Yeah, I know that joke has been told like many times before, but basically about this like yeah, Wood Chipper Massacre. There isn't a whole lot of like a massacre in it because there's like only one guy who gets killed. I think it's two persons that gets killed. Well, anyway, not that good to be honest. I gave it a 3 out of 10. Then I watched a film called Star Time from 1992, which I was really like disappointed on because I thought it was going to be more of a straightforward slasher film, but it turned out to be more of a crime drama type of deal. Um, yeah, that was released by Vinegar Syndrome on that Blu-ray, and yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was a bad film. I was just really surprised that it was like a crime drama more than a straightforward horror like slasher film. So that was a 5 out of 10. And then I watched for the very first time Blood Feast from 1963 by Herschel Gordon Lewis, of course. Sort of a funny. I mean, I was really surprised of how gory it was, or like how bloody it was, since it was from the early 60s. So that must have been really shocking back in the day. But yeah, an alright film, alright splatter film. Not the best, not the worst. I still gave it a 6 out of 10. Then I watched Frightmare from 1983, which was released under that 88 Films slasher label. That was one of the main reasons why I bought it. It had some potential, but it just felt like it was thrown out of the window, and I do not care that much for it at all. So yeah, 4 out of 10 on that one. Still really cool, like set designs and stuff like that, but it just didn't work for me. Then I watched from another film from 1983 called The Prey, which I think was released quite recently on Blu-ray, and I actually watched this on YouTube in like a really shitty like VHS transfer, and I'm glad I didn't buy that film because I didn't like it that much, but I still liked it more than Frightmare, because I think mainly because of the setting that it took place out in the wilderness or out in the woods. So still, I mean, nothing I think I would rewatch again, but I gave it a 5 out of 10. And then for the first time I watched, maybe this is more of an action adventure comedy film, but I was like, well, it might have some horror elements to it, so I watched it, and the movie is Eight-Legged Freaks from 2002. Stupid, funny, entertaining film. Not the best, not the worst. Okay, it feels like I'm repeating myself over and over again, but this film was really a pleasure to watch, really entertaining, I would say. So I gave it a 7 out of 10. Then I watched Darren Aronofsky's P or Pi. I'm not really sure how you pronounce that, but I think that's his debut film from 1998. Sorry, I can't speak today. Very mindfuck film, really weird. I think that's a film that you need to watch more times to fully appreciate it. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Then I watched Apartment 1303 from 2007, a Japanese ghost film. So 5 out of 10. Then I watched from a film called Blood Harvest from 1987, and I watched it in like a very weird DVD release. I think that must have been like a bootleg. But yeah, Blood Harvest from 1987. I mean, it had this premise of this clown running around. I actually thought it was gonna be the clown walking around killing people in really gruesome ways, but there's like very few body counts in this, and it's very low, the body count, and the clown itself is just sort of there in the background. So yeah, 5 out of 10. Then I watched Nightmares from 1983, an anthology film. One of the main reasons why I picked this movie up was because I knew that Emilio Estevez was in one of these short stories. And for those of you who don't know, Emilio Estevez is like my favorite actor of all time. So that's probably the biggest reason why I picked that movie up. And I thought that was really entertaining. And I would actually say that the story that Emilio Estevez took a part in, or like had the main role in, was the best story out of the bunch, I would say. So yeah, really entertaining anthology film in general. Nightmares from 1983, 8 out of 10. Then I was really like into that mood, so after that I watched Tales from the Crypt from 1972. Not as good as Nightmares, I would say. I think I'm probably gonna get hated by now because most people probably prefer Tales from the Crypt. I still really liked it though. So, and Peter Cushing is always a pleasure to watch. So 7 out of 10 on that one. Then I watched a film called Cameron's Closet from 1988. I was really tired when I watched this film, so I might need to rewatch it, but overall it was an okay film in general. So 6 out of 10 on that one. Now I really need to speed up because I've always... Oh yeah, I'm just gonna tell you the titles right now from the years and what I gave these films in general. Then I watched The Silent Scream from 1979. Really weird slasher, very interesting slasher. 7 out of 10. Then I watched Curse of the Blue Lights from 1988, which was a big disappointment. It had some really interesting like mutants in it, but overall I would not rewatch that. I thought it was really boring in general. So 3 out of 10. Then I rewatched Wishmaster from 1997. Always a pleasure to watch that film. I really like it. Then I watched Lurking Fear from 1994. The whole film is basically Jeffrey Combs being an alcoholic and chain smoker. That's his entire character in that film. And the rest of the characters are really unlikable, except for Ashley Lawrence. So yeah, Lurking Fear, really bad. 3 out of 10. Then I watched The Pit in the Pendulum, the original one by Roger Corman with Vincent Price from 1961. Great film, really entertaining. 7 out of 10. Then I watched, let's see here, Countess Dracula from 1971. 6 out of 10. Really interesting, not Dracula, but a really interesting like vampire film. Then I watched one of the worst films I've seen all year, actually. Dream a Little Evil from 1990. 1 out of 10. Dream a Little Evil. Stay away from that film. Then I watched The Food of the Gods from 1976. Really like interesting effects in that in general. I mean, for its time. So it was still okay, but yeah, 5 out of 10. Then a film that really surprised me. This is probably one of my favorite movies I've watched the entire month. So yeah, spoiler alert for that video. Scanners 2, The New Order. I wasn't the biggest fan of the first Scanners movie, except for that infamous head exploding scene. And yeah, I really liked the sequel. 8 out of 10 from 1991. Then I watched Decapitated from 1998, trauma film. Not particularly not that much splattering, not that much gore that I was hoping for, but still works. The things that are there still works. So 5 out of 10. Then another film which was really bad. The Freeway Maniac from 1989. This was a piece of garbage. This is probably even worse than Dream a Little Evil. Oh, the only good thing about that film in general is probably the stunts. The rest is just garbage. Then I rewatched Brain Scan from 1994. Great film. Then I watched Stripped to Kill from 1987. More sleaze than slasher, I would say. Which was a little bit of a shame. I mean, I don't say no to a little sleaze here and there, but it just shouldn't take over the entire film, in my opinion. So, yeah, I gave it a 6 out of 10. Then I watched Munchies from 1987. Probably one of the worst Gremlins knockoffs in general. So, yeah, 4 out of 10. Then I watched Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things from 1972. Really entertaining film in general. Very like atmospheric and moody and gloomy, I would say. 8 out of 10. Then I watched The Dead Next Door from 1989. 7 out of 10 on that one. Really good splatter film, even though it had a really low budget. Then I watched To Die For from 1988. Really disappointing 80s vampire film in general. 4 out of 10. Then another film which was really boring and really dull in general. Mongrel from 1983. 1 out of 10 stars. Schizoid was the next one from 1980, with Klaus Kinski being a weirdo like he always do, and really creepy. So 5 out of 10. Then a film which I thought was going to be more of a horror film than a straightforward action sci-fi film, but 2019, After the Fall of New York. I would say the first half of the film is really good, but the rest is just irritating and boring. So, very chaotic, I would say. So, yeah, 4 out of 10. What year did that come out? 1983, yeah. And then I watched Splatter Farm, another shot and video film from 1987. The soundtrack to this film is just tedious and really horrible. And that really killed the entire film for me. So 2 out of 10 stars. Then I watched Breeders from 1986, which I thought was even worse, but still like the same rating. So 2 out of 10 stars. Then I watched a film called Eat from 2014. Also a very like average film. 5 out of 10. Then I watched Vault of Horror from 1973. 6 out of 10 stars, not as good as Tales from the Crypt in my opinion. And then the last films that I watched here was rewatches. House on Haunted Hill from 1959, Night of the Demons from 1988, and the last film I watched was a film that I had not watched before, called Cemetery Man from 1994. Really surprising, entertaining zombie film in general. It's very one of a kind, I would say. So yeah, I gave that an 8 out of 10. So yeah, so that's the entire all of the horror films that I've watched during this month. I know this might look a little bit boring since I only talk about the films like this and don't hold them up like the DVD covers, but yeah, it would be just so much time, so much time would go with me just getting them out from the collection. So yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed and didn't get bored, and I hope to see you again as soon as possible. So see you next time. Bye bye.